Hello and welcome to the Pickup WNBA podcast. I'm your host, Catherine Niker.
And I'm your other host, Freddie Rivas. What is up?
And this is episode 136, baby. 136, let's go.
136. Let's go. Straight to our social media platforms at the WNBA Pickup Podcast, on Insta, on YouTube, on all of the things that you can find us. Apple, review us. Spotify, review us. Like us, love us. We appreciate all the support, all the love, and the other stuff too. We're working on it. We got a shout out from a listener, Denisha on Instagram, asking how she could fill out this survey and asked us to sort of post it in the Instagram bio. So I will do that. And if you're like survey, then you probably skip this part of the pod usually. But we are doing a survey with ACAST, with Sonar. And basically it's like for advertisers, for our listeners, and it kind of helps us figure out how we are supposed to advertise to the people who listen to us, because that's how podcasts work. So thank you for everyone who's filled it out, for everyone who's going to fill it out, and for Denisha for reaching out to be like, dudes, I want to help you, but you got to help me help you. So
Yes.
fill it out. It's going to be in our YouTube link, and then we'll make sure it's in the Insta as well.
Yes, thank you to Denisha. Really, really appreciate that. If long-term listeners of this show know that we are not the best with our
Absolutely not.
self-promotion, with their social media. We've got Jamie helping us out now, and we appreciate you so much. So thank you for that.
And yet we're still growing. So the word of mouth is working. We just need to do the other stuff.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff to talk about this week. First of all, I'd like to do just a little anecdote before we jump into all our W topics. And that is, Freddie, you had an incredible week at the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival. You were performing there. You were doing audience warm-up stuff. Tell us what you were up to and how it went, because I let our listeners know last week that's where you were. And thank you to Ashley Docking for filling in.
Yeah, shout out Ashley. Really appreciate you filling in. And I mean, filling in, it doesn't even seem fair. Ashley's a big deal. So thanks for doing the pod.
Yes, we love you, Ashley. Freddie, but tell us a little bit. What was Just for Laughs Comedy Festival like for you this year?
It was pretty magical. So Just for Laughs, if you don't know it, if you're like more of a basketball person, not a comedy person, it is the biggest comedy festival in the world. And so I got to do audience warm up, which is something I do for a show called Roast Battles. So it's a TV taping, and then I got to do the warm up for the show. They taped 8 episodes, but essentially 9 episodes, because they film a little bit more than they need. So it's my job to kind of like pump up the crowd and do my thing. And so I've done Roast Battles for this is their 5th season. I've done all seasons. So that was like, I sort of knew what was going down. It's a grind. I'm sure my voice is trashed. I'm also sick, but my voice was trashed before that. Like I have no power and I scream a lot. But what I got to do that was like completely different than anything I've ever done, and was just like made one of the performance highlights of my life, really, was I got to do a warm up for the galas, which are the huge big shows at Just for Laughs. So like 1,500 people. The galas were Fortune Feimster, Mikey Day, Roy Wood Jr., and Michelle Buteau. So like really, really big names, wonderful people. And not only that, I got to do like a different style of warm up. Catherine, I don't even know if I've told you this yet, but basically I got to pitch them on a different type of warm up. So I did like a gag, like a bit. So I was a person in the audience who basically a camera comes up to me and gives me a mic, and it's like basically like pushing me to warm up the crowd. So I sort of like slowly gain confidence and then like run up on the stage.
Oh my God.
I play with the lights and the camera and the band, and then
that's incredible. I love that.
It was good. So very, very fun. I got to bring my wife and my baby to Montreal too, and shout out to all the people I work with and all the people at the Delta Hotel who were so nice to my baby. Uh,
Aw.
yeah, they had a playroom. I feel like I was on a particular type of grind because comedians would be like coming in from partying all night at like 5 or 6
Mm.
a.m. and I'd be in the playroom with Remy.
Yeah,
Like I'd already
it's
be
a
up.
big party kind of vibe there
Oh
for
yeah.
sure.
But they'd be coming in like all trashed and like from eating poutine and just like really, really confused and drunk. And they'd see me playing with my son. And so like
Aw.
I was on like a different type of grind. I
That
was
would
like,
lift me up if I was coming in that, in the wee hours of the morning, and I was like, I'd be like, "Oh my god, Freddie. Oh my god, Remy, I love you, Remy. It's me,
yeah,
auntie.
I got
It's
to see
me,
all the
drunk
comedians.
auntie."
I know. It was good. It was good. I got to see all the comedians who were like hardcore where they were like working out at the gym because they'd be going in at like 7 a.m. and I'd be like,
Oh, yeah.
hey. And they'd be like, are you the warm up guy? I'm like, yeah. Uh,
Who's
anyways.
working out at the gym?
Oh,
Come on, name names, we wanna know.
there's a guy who is part of the New Faces show.
Oh, okay.
So the New Faces shows is like mostly Americans. So I don't
Yeah, but
remember.
it's new up and coming talent.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like so, if it, we're gonna talk basketball in a second, but basically, New Faces
Yeah, I
characters
just wanna know who works
stand
out.
up. I forget his name. I will. I don't have him
Don't
on
worry about it,
Insta.
don't worry about it, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But that's incredible. I'm really happy for you that you got that opportunity. And I guess people can look out for roast battles. One day I hope you're on it. Do you want to roast somebody?
I think I'm
Or
too
do you just
nice.
you're too nice?
I think I
You
would get
you
like
could do one of those like subversive roasts where
I could, but it's a tough plane to land.
yeah, yeah, that's fair. Okay. I'm really happy for you. Congratulations. I
Thank
wanted
you.
our listeners to know because that's a really, really exciting thing that you did this last week.
Thank you. Thank you. It was great.
Okay. Let's jump into some topics here. Freddie, you sent me an interesting article from The Guardian, and they
Mhm.
wrote WNBA Truths and Fictions, the real state of the league in 2025. So I guess there's this like thing that people have this idea of what the league is versus what the league actually is, and they kind of have some key questions here that they go over. So Freddie, how do you want to break this down? Do you want to start with the Caitlin Clark stuff, or where do you want to go with this?
Yeah, I mean, like, I just sent this to you as sort of kind of like feeling out if there's anything that like jumped out to you. For our listeners, this is a really good article. Beau Dure, from the Guardian, and it's so I'll just read the questions and then maybe jump off from there.
Sure.
But there's basically 5 questions. So yeah, like to Catherine's point, it's sort of like it's about perception, which is like some of my favorite type of thought experiment when it comes to the league. So the first one is in All-Star voting, WNBA players ranked Caitlin Clark ninth. Is that absurd? Another question is the league too dependent on Clark? And then another one was the lack of dunking holds back the league. Another one is the WNBA plagued by substandard refereeing? So
So
yeah, I
those are the questions. Yeah.
those are the questions. So I guess
These are
all
great because I feel like they're extremely topical. The thing about dunking came up again recently. Like I feel like these are good poignant questions for where we're at right now.
Yeah, and I feel like they're sort of generic, but at the same time, like it is the type of thing people talk about, right? I think me and you, as people who cover the league, yeah, for sure. Everyone, people get in my DMs and they're like, people don't understand Nafisa's efficiency. She's a big time celebrity, and I'm like, okay, you're great. You're not the problem here, but like there is also people who are sort of like, whatever, like kind of asking you more generic questions. Um, but I'm gonna start with the lack of dunking holds back the league, right? So I think you can pretty quickly be like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever, who cares?" Like, it's a bigger thing in the NBA, and it's not a bigger
Because
thing.
Shaq did this whole podcast recently where he talked about how like the leagues are practically the same, but they have to like lower the rims.
Yeah, like last year, right?
No, I saw it circulating more recently than that.
Okay, because I remember he said that a long time ago.
I'm sure he
But
did.
yeah,
I'm
if he's saying it again, go to hell, Shaq.
Yeah.
But anyways, like I thought what was interesting that came out of that thing, right? Because like whatever, I don't, you know, I've said this before in the pod bet. There's an average of 10 dunks per NBA game, and most of them are like bunny put in dunks. When there's a huge explosive like poster or something, yeah, it's amazing. I love it. Does it really detract from the WNBA game that there aren't those types of dunks? No. And I think if you're watching the game, appreciating it for its differences, then you're good. You don't watch the 100-meter women's race and be like, "Oh my god, the top runners don't crack 10 seconds." Or whatever. They're like a second behind the men. You're entertained, right? You're just appreciating a different, a different.
maybe some people say that though.
Maybe yeah, maybe some people say that, and again, go to hell shack. Um,
Is this the whole segment? Just go to hell.
it's funny if I ever met him, I'd be like, I love you, Shaq. But
Okay, like
um,
let's yeah. Sorry, did I cut you off there?
no, no, just but anyway. So I think from this article, like one thing that was really interesting to me was that they go through some of the like statistical differences in the WNBA versus the NBA. And one thing that I felt like I knew, but seeing the raw numbers is cool, which is in the WNBA, they're more efficient shooters. They shoot
Mhm.
better from the free throw line. There's also less isolation plays. So in the NBA, you have a lot of isolation plays, and in the WNBA, it's essentially there's more teamwork to be able to score baskets, which I think is pretty cool. And I think like it's a good
Mhm.
way. It's good when you take a generic question like this and then go to something like that's more meatier. Um, so yeah, I'll use that as my jumping off point for that.
No, I mean, I think that's a great point. I mean, my sort of gut feeling has always been that the W has just better fundamentals of basketball overall. So it's nice to see that there's actual stats that support that.
Mhm.
But I mean, even beyond, I just feel that this is a misogynistic take in general. And I feel like, there's plenty of great NBA players that don't dunk, and it's never discouraged people from liking them, from considering them one of the greats, from buying their jersey. Steph Curry, Allen Iverson, there's so many more. Those are just like two that come to mind that don't dunk. Or there's players who may know how to physically dunk, but they're not necessarily known for it and don't do it particularly often, right? Like a James Harden, for example. Like I can't think of a James Harden dunk, like it's not his bread and butter. And so
Mhm.
this is just, none of that's ruined basketball. I mean, Shaq could only dunk. I mean, like he barely had a mid-range jumper, like his whole career was inside the key, right? So I mean, it is what it is. I think these attitudes are generally dying down. It's disappointing when somebody of that great of influence, especially in the sport of basketball, keeps perpetuating this. And Shaq's definitely known for being like having a business mind, and maybe he's just having like a very like business oriented Papa John's type of opinion, if you will.
Oh, that's good stuff. Papa
But
John's
is
type of
Papa John's
opinion.
the best pizza? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It might make money, but it's not the best pizza.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a Papa John's fan and you're deeply offended, please get in our DMs. But no, I hear you. Like I think it's like to me, it's one of those talking points I like, you know, I feel like we have to entertain because it just won't go away, such as like the league loses money and like, those sort of things. Like until they're dead. But it's nice to have a conversation where you don't even have to acknowledge that type of, yeah, sort of misogynistic, whatever.
Another thing that I think is actually more nuanced than it looks is Caitlin Clark being ranked ninth in player all-star voting. Now, I hate to say it, but this does give that jealousy narrative some fire here because ninth is too low.
Yes,
Ninth is too low, but it also talks about how Kelsey Plum was 16th, which is crazy. Jackie Young was 12th, which is also crazy. So I'm not really sure how this player voting like fully went down, but I don't think she's the best player in the league today. I think that will change, but but I mean, for her to be ninth feels low, doesn't it?
yeah, ninth is low, first is high.
She's
And
somewhere in the middle.
right, yeah, me and you had talked about this in previous All Stars, right? So I think as NBA fans, first, we're used to, um, you know, whatever Kyrie Irving having a mediocre season and being like all the way like one of the highest vote getters. Derrick Rose for years having no business
Mm.
getting as many votes as he did. Um, like post MVP. And like I think that some players are more famous than they are good, right? And I think Clark's one of them. And that's not to say that
Not
she's
that
not
she isn't good.
not that Kyrie Irving isn't good, right? Like it's like they're amazing, but they're not the best player, period. And they're actually not really. We're gonna get to this later, but like they're not in the best player conversation, like all the
Mm.
way in there. And by the way, she was first team All NBA last year, or all WNBA rather. So she was like a top 5 player. Um, I don't think she's going to be this year, but that there's
No, because of
injuries,
the injuries, yeah.
right? Yeah, but um, I think that in previous years for the WNBA, like everything lined up. Like we would joke about how accurate fan media and player voting was. Like it all lined up.
Mm.
And now with the WNBA growing, you have a lot of fans who they're not watching Dallas versus Atlanta. They're not watching Golden State versus Las Vegas, but they're watching every single Fever game. And I think that that's what happens with casuals. And this isn't me criticizing casuals, but like there's, I can name, I don't know, 10 golfers. If you're a golf fan,
I
you're like,
can't name 10 golfers.
yeah, well, there you go. Right. So like you can probably name like 3. And I think like
Maybe.
there's people who are like that with the WNBA. And this is sort of the evolution of like you're bringing in more fans, and not every fan is going to be like all the way into the nitty gritty of the game. Um, anyways, yeah. So I thought that I like to your point, I do think ninth is too low, but I do think first is too high.
Yeah. There was another related to this. Is the league too dependent on Caitlin Clark? I think this is also really interesting because I mean the league talks about how obviously there's other really great players and but I would argue from a marketing perspective it is possibly too reliant on Caitlin Clark. I think they should be using Caitlin's popularity to build up the stardom of other players. I remember talking about this a little while ago as well earlier in the season when they were like hyping up like Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. And I'm like, this isn't a real rivalry. Like, this was like a college thing that happened a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Like, we got to move on. You can't just keep doubling down on this like narrative that doesn't like really exist anymore. And so I actually like the articles like, no, the league doesn't depend too much on Caitlin Clark. From a marketing perspective, I think it does. And I think it should be using all this attention to shift focus on other players and other teams, frankly, for sustainability purposes. Really.
I agree, and I think this is at the heart of kind of what for people who feel like there's this missed opportunity right now, I think it's because something like lightning has struck, right? Caitlin Clark's popularity has struck, and I think the WNBA is trying to figure out how to sort of like how to bottle that up as much as they can, and I think they're doing some things good, and that there's some things they're sort of like they're missing out on. For instance, like Paige Beckers is having like an almost like identical season to Caitlin Clark, but
Mm,
she's not getting the same amount of coverage. Why aren't they? Those two battled in college. Why aren't they building that rivalry up?
yeah,
And I think it's tough to define, right? Like the moment between Caitlin and Angel was a cultural moment, right? It was organic, and you can't force that type of stuff. And like that happened, and it just took over the media, right? It just exploded both of their popularities. Like they were already big, but that moment was just gigantic. And I think that yeah, maybe there will be a moment like that between Clark and Page or something, but like maybe not. So I think they just sort of have to stay opportunistic. And one thing this article does say, which I agree with, is that while ratings drop with Caitlin Clark out, they're not bottoming out. They're dropping to a place that was higher than previous times. So
right.
like I think that's an important piece here to
That part
understand.
is important.
It's
Yes.
like the peak sort of entertainment value of this league is like, you know, Caitlyn is the best player and the most famous, and she's in the finals, and it's really hard, but she wins. And then you building up this sort of like kind of like hero story. But like you can't it's sports. You can't like script it that much, right? Like she has a hamstring injury. She's dealing with it all year. It's slowing her down. She's less efficient. This is what sports is.
Mhm. And it almost seemed like, that they may have brought her back too early, right? Like, they tried to
Yeah.
bring her back before the All-Star break or the All-Star weekend, and then she was just immediately out again. So, really hoping for a speedy recovery there. Freddie, did you wanna, were there other questions here that you wanted to address?
I
Or
mean, the only one we hadn't talked about is a substandard refereeing one,
which I don't
which
agree with.
yeah, I don't really think. I mean, I think that it's just natural that teams and players and whatever
Complain
complain.
about refs.
Like to me, that's sort of like, could the refs be better? Yes, sure. If you're mad at the refs, I feel like there's you're not really like it was like we were saying with Becky Hammon. If it's sort of if you're complaining about effort, it's like you're sort of it's a bit of a losing mentality. Like I never want to like with our home team, before we have a tempo with the Raptors. Anytime we have a coach that's like complaining about the refs, I'm like, dude, don't do it. Like,
Well, sometimes you can complain about the refs. It doesn't mean the league has substandard officiating, right?
yeah,
Like you can
yeah,
have a bad night, there could
bad
be a
moment.
bad call. That doesn't mean the league as a whole has a substandard
Yeah,
officiating. Um, yeah. Okay. We wanted to revisit the MVP race. Um, Well, which has shifted a bit. Now, I mean, Nafisa Collier has been, I would say, in the lead of this all season long. I still predict her to win. I've been predicting that since February. Asia Wilson is right back there where she was. The Aces aren't having a great season, but not because of Asia. She's still been killing it. And then Caitlin Clark was really the other player in the race this year, but with so many injuries and so many games missed, I don't think she's gonna really be eligible for this. I mean, she might still get a couple votes, but I don't think she's gonna run away with this or really have a strong chance at it. So, Freddie, I know you have a third in mind. I didn't know necessarily who I wanted to put in that third place, if it was Alyssa Thomas, perhaps. That was the name that came to my mind. Um, but who's your top 3 right now for MVP?
Yeah, so I did just to echo your points, like, I think listeners of this pod know that I actually predicted Clark would win the MVP. I thought it would be sort of like narrative driven. And I thought like, hey, listen,
Team
her
P.
post Olympic play last year, those 20 games, like she went from like being whatever she was at, like the 10th best player in the league, to being like the fourth or the fifth or something. And like for a rookie, like, Clark ended up having one of the best rookie seasons of all time in the W, right? I think like we talked about it, but I had her as the number 2 best rookie season ever behind Candace Parker. So
Mhm.
like I don't think it's wild to be like she, was going to win MVP, and I thought the Fever, whatever, we're going to be better, Bonner. But for this exercise, I just went straight to the stats. So there's a fun nerdy stat called PIE, PIE, and it stands for oh god, I just had it. There's PER. Hold on, I got. I'm googling this, which me and Catherine talked about not doing, but I just had it. So yeah, I'm using this nerdy stat called player impact estimate, and essentially it's a it's an all-in-one stat, which is problematic in its own way, but the goal is to put rebounds, points, assists, turnovers, all these things into one number. And generally when you look at the list of players it provides, you're sort of like, this checks out. Like this is doing what it's supposed to be doing. So number 1 is Asia Wilson, 21.5. Number 2 is Nafisa Collier, 20.4. And number 3, who I didn't have, who it's funny you just mentioned, Catherine, is Alyssa Thomas. So 18.8. So
I guessed. This was a guess on my part that Alyssa
so
Thomas would be the 3rd MVP candidate.
given that, um, this is gonna sound wild, but I cannot have Asia Wilson uh in my MVP conversation. And it's just because I think winning has to be part of what's happening here.
Mhm. I don't think that's so
So
wild.
she's, the Aces are 14 and 13, and it's not her fault. That's like, we all know this, right? She has, and of this group, she has the highest usage rate. So she's like just killing it with all of the time she has. However, winning is winning, period, right? This is how it works. So Collier, right, is a sort of, I think I think it's fair to say, kind of running away with it at this point. But then I have Alyssa Thomas. So fourth on this list is Jonquel Jones. Now she's in this other territory for me, which is she hasn't played enough. So Jonquel Jones, I don't think has played enough games. She's played 13 games. So I think we'll see where that goes. But then there's somebody else who I think is my like. So essentially it's Collier, Thomas, and then I have this person, which is Neka Gumika. So
Okay.
NECA is 16.6 player impact estimate, and Seattle's killing it. And she's a huge part of that. So
Seattle
uh,
is killing it, and she has been having like a under the radar great season.
yes.
Okay, I like this a lot. Also, too, with Jonquel Jones. I mean, it's true she hasn't played enough, but now that we just found out Brianna Stewart's going to be out for a while with a bone bruise on her knee, I believe it's her right
Yes.
knee. Jonquel Jones is now back. I don't think she's going to win MVP, but what I'm saying is she's going to be put in a position to almost have to have a really strong end of season here that could be a late push for maybe a couple votes for this award. I wouldn't be surprised truly if Nafisa gets a unanimous MVP.
I think you're bang on. I think she's
I
heading
think
because
it'll be unanimous,
there's
but
no one that's
yeah.
really challenging her.
Yeah, I don't know if Alyssa Thomas. I mean, Alyssa Thomas has had a very strong season as well. Probably also under the radar, even more so than her phenomenal triple double season that she had with Connecticut. But yeah, I don't think it'll be enough to sway people's votes. I think if somebody doesn't, if they it'll be an extreme bias, not necessarily against Nafisa, but for those players that they're like, I just vote for this person because they're my person.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that's where I think the MVP race stands right now. And look, I don't like I don't disagree. I think Asia, I mean, she's won it before. She's the reigning MVP, right? I didn't mess that up. She's it's I predicted earlier that she would get a possible defensive player of the year almost as a consolation for not getting MVP. I still think she's in the running for that. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna be her year because of the Aces record for sure.
Yeah, and maybe they go on some huge run, and she's back in there because the stats are there. Um,
And they had a big win against the Sparks, but I mean, it's the Sparks, so Cameron
there
Brink is back, which is great.
yeah,
She had a great game, but
yeah,
yeah,
block, steal, assists,
but that was,
3.
that was a bit of a beat down, unfortunately.
So here's just a fun sort of stat before we move on. So plus minus throughout the year, the top 8 players are all on, sorry, top 6 players, are all on either the Liberty or the Lynx. So
Mm,
Nafisa is 10.6 on the year. John Quell is 10.2. And then, yeah, it's rounded out by McBride, Carlton, Phoebish, and Williams. So John Quell, yeah, like that impact is there. Like it's
yeah.
really there. Which we'll shout out our fantasy team at the end of the pod. We need ya.
Yeah, she's gonna give us a late season run.
Yeah, we need
Okay.
it.
Freddie, I think it's time for our badass player of the week. Who you got?
I have Kelsey Plum. Um, so Kelsey Plum, I'll always look for a winner. She's had a 3-in-1 week, and 20 points, 7 assists, and a steal, shooting 40% from three, 46% from the field. She's obviously was a hoot at the All Star as well. So Kelsey Plum, shout out.
That's awesome. This week I'm going with Sabrina Ionescu. Absolutely love Sabrina. She over the last 4 games has 22 points. She's got 5.5 rebounds, 7 assists, which really stands out to me. They're 2-2 right now in this last week, but really, really great stuff from Sabrina. And we had Ellie the Elephant being dragged off the court because of a technical or a call that they didn't agree with. So we had that too. Little bit of extra spice there, courtesy of Ellie.
I love it. I love mascot spice. By the way, for anyone that knows mascot stuff, I shared a dressing room at Just for Laughs with Yubi, who I didn't know about, but Yubi is the Montreal Canadiens NHL hockey
Oh
team,
my
their
god!
mascot, and was also the Montreal Expos mascot. So it's the first ever mascot go to 2 different sports.
Wow.
And it was also the first
And you
mascot ever.
shared a dressing room like you were there together.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool, and I mean, also
They're like,
just
give the clown the mascot's dressing room.
honestly, straight up, they were like, "Freddie, you're gonna have to share this. You're gonna have to share your time with the mascot," and I did, and we hugged. It was good.
Oh, of course you did. Okay. You also got to meet Jimbo from Drag Race and Lemon.
I did. I met Jimbo and Lemon, and they're both wonderful.
Yeah.
Jimbo, surprise, surprise. Listen, is a clown.
Yeah,
Clowns,
you're the same people.
clowns are the best. Jimbo was hilarious. I mean, Lemon was hilarious, but Jimbo is rocking on a different level.
Well, Jimbo's more known for the comedy than Lemon.
Yeah, Jimbo
Like,
was like
Lemon's funny,
kind
but
of
Lemon's more, like, stylish, she raps, like,
yeah,
you know, fashion, that's more her thing.
yeah.
Okay.
They were fantastic. They were so polished, and I mean, obviously they are, but just to see them in action was cool.
Yeah. Okay. Freddy's fun question, let's go.
Fun question. Here we go. So this one is inspired by the madness that was yesterday.
Mhm.
Uh, so like we had a lot of things going on. Like, well, one wasn't like a stoppage, but this is a game stoppage based question. One was a mascot in a Sparks game getting hit by a dance pack guy.
Yeah, we're recording this Wednesday night, so when this comes out Thursday, we're referring to Tuesday night.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then uh, um, Kalia Copper's wig was knocked off in the game. And then also in the dream game, someone threw a dildo on the court. So someone threw a dildo on the court, like a bright green dildo. It was weird. Uh, and yeah, what do you say, right? That's fucked up. And then so that made me think, okay, Catherine, Freddie, obviously dildo is taken, but it's our job to create a in-game stoppage and go viral. So it's got to be like a moment that's remembered. Like, how do you do it? What do you do? What's the plan? How do you stop a WNBA game and go viral?
Okay. So first of all, this incident that happened um last night with this green dildo. First of all, I just want to say this is disrespectful. I didn't like this. I didn't
It's horrible.
it's funny in that it's just so bizarre and insane, but like this could have hit somebody and then that's going to be embarrassing for that person. Also just like disrespectful to sex toys in general. Like I think like sex toys have been an amazing revelation of these modern times. I have probably like not married a mistake in this life because I have devices. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
Like this is really like they deserve more respect is
100%.
what I'm saying. Also to bring one to a game. Like I was actually thinking this through. Like am I like running errands with this like in my purse? Like, is there a world where like I just happen to have one in my bag and then I go to a game? Not really. I think this whole thing was premeditated
It was.
and
It was.
it's diabolical. It's diabolical. It's
100
absolutely
Listen,
diabolical.
agreed, agreed,
I
agreed,
hope this
agreed.
person is banned from games
Yes,
forever. And
it should be.
frankly, they should have to volunteer at a sex toy store and learn about what these things are actually used for and how they should be appreciated. Appreciated. Okay, that's my hard stance on that. Which just needed to be said. How would I stop? Okay, first of all, I said to Freddie, and I will say to all of you, I would never stop a game. Why would I stop a game? I would
Yeah,
never stop a game. But then Freddie said via our chat, so not on the podcast, he said, well, what if somebody offered you $1 million? Okay, well, this is a different situation. I would never just go viral for the sake of going viral.
that's right.
But if someone was like, I will give you $1 million to have an in-game viral moment,
You
what
do
I
it.
would do is I would run onto the court. See,
Okay.
because this way no one gets hurt, right? You don't want to be that jackass that throws something. God forbid you hit a player. Now that player is in concussion protocols. I mean, what a disaster. You can't be that person. No, I'm not going to be that person, not even for $1 million. But I will run onto the court. And then I thought like about like, what am I wearing?
Okay,
Like I
I
can't
was right
just
about to
run
say
onto
because, yeah, that might not
I
go
can't just
viral,
run
like
onto the
yeah.
court. I gotta wear something.
Yes.
And then my
Great, great.
first very cheesy thought was promoting this podcast.
Okay, I mean, hopefully that would go viral, but
I don't think people would like that. I don't actually think that would gain us more listeners. And then I thought, what if I wear a t-shirt that just says I have a podcast?
okay, now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Because that's so stupid, but funny because it's just making fun of like how everyone kind of has a podcast. But then also people would be like, well, what's her podcast? And then you get like internet sleuths trying to figure out what the podcast is. And
Okay.
I feel like that is almost a better way to generate more buzz. Um though that's what I have for outfit ideas. If you have other outfit ideas, I'm open-minded. Listeners, if you have outfit ideas, I'm also open-minded, but that's what I came up with.
That's good. I mean, especially if you make it on the court, I think that like, fan rushes court and like because I think what happens a lot of times when a fan rushes a court, it's like often it's like a stalker or it's
I
something like
thought of
dangerous to
something
the players.
else.
So if you just rush the court to promote yourself, that is weird enough that I think someone's gonna be
But
like,
it's so cheesy. Like it's not me, it's not my personality at all to do something like this. But for $1 million,
that's
sure.
right. And by the way,
Sure.
that I was saying to Catherine, I'm like, this is how these Freddy's fun questions, like I like to think of them as ultimatums because the things that we bring up, would we do it? No. Like, hire us Engelbert, you know, is a joke because we shall not be hired by Engelbert. And
Oh, don't
un-
say that.
until we are,
We could be hired by Engelbert. Don't say
sorry,
that.
sorry, you know what? Al, Engelbert, I take it back. But
Okay, wait. I thought of one more though. Can I
sure,
say it?
sure.
So I saw this thing on Etsy and I was just looking for just random fun WNBA stuff. But because I also have a dog, a lovely puppy Zelda, the worlds collide sometimes. And I found a Diana Taurasi jumper hoodie for my dog
Okay.
on Etsy.
I like where this is going.
Frankly, it's going to be on a Christmas wish list for me. What if my dog just ran out in a Diana Taurasi
Even
hoodie?
better.
Isn't that great?
And
That'd be
honestly,
fun.
it would be a cute dog, so, like, a player would pick it up. See,
Yeah,
that's more viral potential, actually.
yeah, that's cuter than me just saying I have a podcast. But I think it's funny the idea of me wearing a T-shirt that just says I have a podcast.
And if there's, like, a little basketball it's chasing, come on.
Oh, me puppy. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
So I have 2 as well.
Okay.
One is me, I always have to bring it up to make fun of my friend Andrew Pulsifer, who great person. One time he asked this genuinely, and I said to him, you have to do that. Like, you have to do the reason you're asking this and you have to do it. And he's like, and then he laughed and he's like, I've never do it. I'm like, right. But like, no one's ever said that. And this is such an insane thing to say. He said, why does no one ever bring a whistle to a basketball game to blow it to confuse the
What
refs
does
and the
he mean?
fans?
Why?
And then I
What
was,
if he
yeah,
just you'll get kicked out? That's why.
because you get kicked out. And for me, I thought it just really tickled me because I was like, why? Because no one's a maniac. And then I was like, I was like, you have to do this, Andrew. And he's like, he laughs. He's like, I'll never do it. I was like, obviously. But anyways, so for
He
me,
works in politics, doesn't he?
yes, yes.
It's such a bad
For me, I would take this one further. So I would bring a
Sure.
whistle. I'd pick key moments. I mean, you'd only be able to do it like once or twice before like people sitting near you would be like, get this guy out of here. But I would pick a couple key moments where it was really confusing, um, just to really disrupt the game. And I would try and do it like I'm like, yeah, have a drink or something, and I'm like going down to like grab a drink or popcorn or whatever. And like, so I'm not like it was confusing where the whistle came from.
You might get away with that.
Yeah, so I'd really try and get the timing right and, like, you'd still only be able to do it a couple times, but anyways,
You
my
would get away with it, not anybody, but you could because you do physical comedy. So
yes.
you would understand, and you know so much about basketball, so you would get that timing better than other people, and you would sell hiding the whistle.
Yeah,
better than
exactly.
most
I
people.
would
I
blow
don't
it
think
and then, like, I'd look around. I'd be like everyone else, like, "Where's that? What?"
yeah, like, other people wouldn't be
Like,
able to stay in
for
character
sure.
like that.
I'd fully sell it and be like, "Where? What? Oh my god, what was
I
that?"
can't be with you at that game.
I wouldn't be with me. I wouldn't do it.
No, but,
But
like, my face is not the face you want next to you. I couldn't hide it.
and if I got
I'm
away
too
with it,
honest.
I would wait like 5 or 10 minutes. Like, I wouldn't wait. It wouldn't be like the next play. I'd
Yeah, yeah,
really
you gotta
be
wait a while, of
I'd
course.
really chill. And then, okay, here's the other one. This is like a technology that I don't even understand, so it's probably not possible. Um, somehow,
Why
some
would
way,
I set that up?
somehow, some way, I have a remote control basketball that I like sort of lob on the court and it's like R2D2 or something, and I can move
Okay,
it,
that would go viral. That's
right?
actually
And then a
great.
player like is going to pick it up and I'm like moving it away from them. Do you know what I mean? And like obviously they'd pick it up and they're like, this thing is like,
And
you
then
know,
does the basketball say, "I have a podcast on it?"
yes, your dog's in the basketball with the DT sweater.
Oh my god. That's actually incredible, Freddie. I
Yeah,
love this robotic basketball. That's really good.
it'd be cool.
All right, let's wrap it up there. Thank you everyone for listening and for tuning in. Please remember to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And before we go, Freddie, you've got not one but two fantasy teams to give a shout out to.
I do. So I just want to say Jonquil Jones is back. So here we come, everybody. We did put up some big points last week, but we did lose pretty heftily as well. So we played Lauren's lucrative team, who crushed us mightily. Massive week from Tina Charles, but Tina Charles, Natasha Cloud, Rakia Jackson, Rika Gumawale, Louisa Geisel Soder, Jessica Shepard, Sammy Whitcomb, Ray Burrell, Kennedy Burke, Kalia Copper, and Letitia Amihir. Great team. You killed us. We had a couple big weeks. I mean, McBride's been killing it for us, by the by, but it's not enough. Not enough. And then this week we it ends. We we're gonna lose again. We're 1-8.
Wow. What's the
But
team's name?
this team, we're back around. So we've played them before. This is Elevate Your Game. So this team's sick as well. It's Sabrina Ionescu, Courtney Williams, Nilissa Smith, Anisha Mora, Elizabeth Williams, Neka Gumake, Erica Wheeler, sorry, Chloe Bibby, Kate Martin, and Ryan Howard. So they got some injuries as well. Ryan Howard, obviously, but we're in the mix right now. This is the first place team, by the way. So like,
All right.
we don't
Well,
really
this
stand a
is
chance.
a level of optimism that we like to see.
Yeah, and you know what? Just because we're here, I'm gonna shout out Elevate Your Game, and then Hoops, Hops, and Handles. They're leading the league right now, and
Okay.
us, Hyrus Engelbert, and uh, uh, Lily Lyons are tied. We're both 1-8, so
All right.
we're both strong.
Engelbert, ignore the fantasy. Still hire us.
Yeah, that's
We
right.
got ideas. Okay. We will wrap it up there. Thank you everyone so much. Appreciate you. Like, subscribe, leave a positive review, all that good stuff. Thank you again, and we will catch you next time.
Sick. Peace, everybody.
Bye.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Sonar Network.